Hi, my name is Jessi Jones. I'm about to do yoga, so enjoy.
Alright, so I always start with the moon pose right here, and I guess I started self-practice, so I just kind of listen to my body. I try to lengthen myself, I try to stretch out as tall as I can go, and then when I feel comfortable, when I feel like I'm deeper in that pose, through breathing of course, then I start to go back. I really love back bends, so I always try to find a way to stick some of those in my practice, especially since I have such bad posture. So that's just the forward fold. Of course, you go down on an exhale and spend some time in that to breathe and loosen up your hamstrings and your calves a little bit. There's the downward dog. The goal for that one is to stick your butt in the air as high as you can and sink your chest in to the ground. So a lot of people try to get their ankles on the ground, but it's really important that you focus on your chest rather than your feet in that one. It's a shoulder opener. That's called wild thing. I'm sure there's a Hindi term for it, but I just see wild thing. Since I'm self-practice, I'm not really educated to that degree. And then this is the pigeon pose. It's a hip opener. Hip openers are the hardest for me, especially growing up. I never opened my legs. In my family it was considered inappropriate, so those are where I had the most trouble. It's a everyday process. Like when I get up, I always stretch my hips so I can at least practice the pigeon pose. But this is the king pigeon pose, and that's adding the heart opener or the back bend, and which I love doing, so I always try to fit those in there. Breaking out of those, it's important that you go slow and breathe. You know, no matter what you do in yoga, it doesn't matter if it's a simple pose or a really intricate pose, it's most important to breathe. You know, breathing, oxygen is so important, it gives you strength. You know, it's involuntary for a reason and people just forget. So go slow, take your time, listen to your body, trust your body, and honor what you can do, honor your limitations, and be grateful for what you can do at all times. You know, treat your body with respect. This is the lunge, and then this is the low lunge. It's another hip opener that I like to do. I've deepened in this pose quite a bit. I think it's just an easy thing for me to do in all my flows. And then of course I try to incorporate that heart opener there. It's important in this one to make sure that your back knee lines up with your front foot. That way you can make your hips squared, as well as making sure that everything is aligned. So your front foot needs to line up with your knee needs to line up with your hip, which lines up with your back foot, etc. So I think that's an important process in just listening to your body. If it doesn't feel right, you're probably not doing it right, and try to be aware of, do you feel aligned? Should I straighten my back here? Should I use the muscles in my lower back? You know, feel you have over 200 muscles in your body. You have access to so much you can do, so try to feel what muscles you can move, what muscles you can strengthen, what muscles you can surrender, etc. This is the cat and cow pose. That's cow. It's a shoulder opener. When I do these poses, I like to stretch not only my shoulders but my hamstrings, so you go back and forth. It's a good back opener, and I try to focus on my wrists a little bit. I sprained my wrist trying to practice a handstand because I didn't give it the proper care. I guess that's just a cow pose variation where I lift your leg in the back, try to focus on balance. Another heart opener. It's important before you get into back bends, full back bends, you're using the majority of your body to use those poses. So you have to make sure that you've opened up your shoulders. You have to make sure that you've opened up your thighs and your calves. You have to make sure that you've opened up your back. So before I get into the deeper back bends, I always try to do these poses leading up to it. You can't just jump into intricate poses because you can really injure yourself. But the main thing, I can't stress this enough, is just to breathe and listen to your body. You know, you don't necessarily have to attend classes. You're a self-sufficient human being. You can figure out what's best for you. That's why I mainly enjoy self-practice, because it's self-philosophy. It's mainly just important that maybe perhaps keep up with someone who knows the anatomy of the body, who knows actually how to move the muscles so you don't hurt yourself per se. That deep back bend that I just did is called Kapotasana. That took me 6 months to be able to do into my yoga practice. It's my favorite, but it's also a very stressful pose. So that's what yoga is. Something that I've learned in yoga is like it helps me find peace in areas that I usually get stress or anxiety. So like you're opening your body and putting your body through these difficult poses that would normally stress you out. But the more you do them, the more you feel peace and you're okay, you're relaxing. It's not a big deal. You're just breathing, focusing on yourself and listening to your body, and it's really nice. Just more hip openers. I'm stretching my calves right here. It's difficult for me to do these poses and keep a straight back. That's something that I try not to beat myself up on, but I'm always self-conscious of it because my posture is very terrible. And then this is of course the Surasana, which is a headstand. I think it's Surasana. I'm not, like I said, I'm not particularly educated because I do self-practice, but I believe it's Surasana. This takes a lot of core strength for your balance, and then of course arm strength. So when you throw yourself up there, it's important to focus on your abs to keep yourself held up, and then make sure that you don't hurt your neurosystem by putting too much pressure on your neck, because you can paralyze yourself. You can do so many bad things by putting any pressure on your neck. So make sure that your shoulders are prepared and doing most of the work for that, and your head should be on the very tip of your head rather than your forehead. A lot of people do the headstand on the forehead, and that's really bad for your skull. And then with every pose, every difficult pose, it's important to do a neutralizer, which is like the opposite, so you don't hurt yourself. So like in doing a headstand, I go back into child's pose, which is like a crouching position, or an inversion, like a back bend such as this. These ones are harder to do, but I love them so much. I think with my bad posture, that's where all my negativity goes, you know? It goes into my shoulders, so it makes me lean down, hunched over. It's harder to have strength to not fixate on the negativity, just as it's hard to keep your back straight. So in doing back bends, they open my heart, which is what I don't normally do. Like I'm slouching right now, and I just naturally tend to go toward the back bend. And that's child pose. It's a good neutralizer to get your breath going, to straighten up a little bit, relax your heart rate, because those are stressful poses. And really it's just feeling your body. There's something called prana, which is the flow of energy throughout your body. So you don't really have to focus on particular poses that you do. You can just move your body in any way that you feel. You know, I go on Instagram and I watch these yogis and I get inspiration from them, but really you can just move in any way you feel the energy going, or you feel your breath going, you know. Oh shoot, is that what I look like? Oof. So in this one, the majority of the tension is in my shoulders for that pose, and it in order to, the more you do the poses, the more you feel like, oh, if I flex my thighs, I'm taking off pressure off my shoulders, or I'm taking off pressure off my lower back, or if I move the tension to my upper back, I'm taking off pressure off my knees, and like stuff like that. You kind of start to learn more about what your muscles can do, and how there's a huge difference between strength and surrender. Like some places you gotta let go, some places you gotta put the pressure or put the strength or the tension. And then when you feel that tension, instead of trying to fix it, sometimes it's good to just let it surface and just feel it and be uncomfortable in order to allow yourself to have peace. You know, when you feel that feeling, you don't necessarily get anxiety, you embrace it, you know. That's dancer pose, you know, that's the typical pose that you see everywhere, like a lot of the cheerleaders love to do, and it's a fun one. It takes a lot of balance, it takes a lot of strength. My hips aren't quite as flexible to get, I'm not very deep in this pose, but it's still fun. It's a nice one. It's good to focus on a focal point. It's harder to balance when you have your eyes closed, so I like to stare at something, and you know, of course, remember to breathe. Feel some days you have it, some days you don't. Like you're not always going to be open to everything. You're not always going to be able to do the perfect back bend, etc. So it's just focusing on feeling your body, recognizing what your body's giving you access to, and taking care of yourself.
All right, I hope you enjoyed the yoga. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.